Hi guys, welcome along. This is the Ferrari 360. Now, before I start, I should say I've never made a video before. I've never worked on a Ferrari before, and I'm not a mechanic. But bought the car, decided it'd be a good project to get some DIY jobs done on it. So the first job I'm going to tackle is the rear main oil seal. That's leaking. Knew about it when I picked up the car. Having a look under it and taking the inspection plate off, looks like the friction plate and that, because there's quite a lot of oil, will probably be contaminated. But I do know, sort of 4,000, nearly 5,000 miles ago, this had a new clutch put in it, and the seals done on the release bearing. So I'm expecting everything else to be good, just a friction plate and a rear main oil seal. Don't know why they didn't do the rear main oil seal at the time, but they didn't, so that's for us to crack on and do. I did start this job, as you will see, at the beginning, or part of the way through the pandemic. I have had a few issues with getting parts, things coming wrong, but we'll see that later in the video and we'll explain. So, without further ado, we'll get cracking. I've started the first part of this, taking the under tray off. I'll try and edit a little bit of some of the video footage I've done for doing that, and then we get the rear wheels off, and the first part, again, this rear bumper off and the rear grille. So that's what we'll do next. Right, so here we are in the rear passenger wheel well. I've removed the liner, which would have been here. As you can see, we've got 2 bolts to undo to do the bumper, which are going to be with a 13mm socket, and then there's 2 additional ones in here. You can see that they undo with a 17, and it's going to be the same for obviously both sides, and then hopefully we should be able to remove the rear bumper. Right, that's all the bolts out, so hopefully this bumper will come out. And then there's just a connection here for the number plate lights. And this should lift off now. Couple of washer spaces that came off that sit behind the brackets, but yeah, we're off, we're good. The next stage is we're going to remove the rear challenge grille. There seems to be 4 bolts holding it on round the catch. There seems to be another 4 bolts to each side, just within this. And then there seems to be 1 right in the very corner. So looks like a 10mm socket will do these in the centre, and I'll probably have to get a 10mm spanner to do the 2 corner ones, unplug the light fittings, and hopefully that should come off in one piece.
next part, I'm going to take the tailpipes out. They've got sort of 4 bolts here bolting it to the flange of the back box. So I'm going to give them a good swirl, some penetrating fluid. Just let that soak in a minute, and we're going to also have to do the vac lines for the that control the valves for the exhaust. We have the tailpipes off the car now. Obviously you can see the valve that opens up on a vacuum hose, just connected in there, which we've disconnected. I think they only open up above 4,000 RPM. A little actuator here on the back side, and we'll give that a good clean up for when it goes back on the car. We've got new gaskets, new nuts, etc. So should all be nice and shiny when it goes back together. We'll do the other side now. Right, the next thing to do, take the back box out now. So seems to be attached with 4 bolts here holding the actual back box, and then we've got the clamps coming off the cats. See if we can get a better look at these. So you can see the clamps here. So we should be able to undo those, bring it off, and undo these this back bracket. Once that's off, hopefully we should be able to lift that out the top. Let's see where we get to. Right, it would appear that to take the back box off, the cats will have to come off so we can get it out. So looks like we've got a thermocouple here that'll have to be undone, and then the oxygen sensor at the side of it, and then it also there's an oxygen sensor on the inlet to the cap. So get these undone, undo the connection on the other side, and then hopefully we can take the cat out, and then once we've got both cats out we should be able to take the back box out. So I'll crack on with that. Looks like it's going to be a 14mm I think to undo. That's come off quite easy. That wasn't too difficult. And I think this will be a 20 or a 22. 22. No, that's cracked them. Loosen quite easy. Now what I will do is mark these up so I know which ones go back where, and then we'll move on. If we look over the top, you should be able to see that flange there needs to be undone. That's the other end, and we can just see the inlet oxygen sensor, so we'll undo that as well, and hopefully that full cat will be able to come out. Right, so we'll crack on with that, and see you in a second. So that's both cats off now, and then the back box is lifted out, as you've seen. Obviously you can see how it now sort of connects together and how the exhaust works. Through the cats into the rear silencer here, and then the outlets, there's 2 outlets here that then go into the 2 tips that come out of the side. The next thing I want to remove is we're taking this off, the expansion tank. It's just held on by the 4 nuts, so we'll undo them, 10mm socket, and then we'll have a look at where some of these pipes will reach to. Hopefully we'll be able to lift it out and pop it over there without having to take it out altogether. So I've got the expansion tank undone. All there is this pipe here that just comes up off the cap. This is just a pressure relief, and then we've got the main pipe and then turn. So I'm hoping just, yeah, that's it, lift this up and out of the way. I'm hoping that'll be out of the way enough for us to do the work we need to. So the next thing will be Gearbox. So we'll tackle that. All right. We're going to drain the oil. That's going to be the next thing to do on this car for taking this gearbox out. So there's 2 sub plugs to undo. There's one at the front of the engine, there's one at the base of the gearbox, and they're both for the engine oil. The back one's a 14mm hex, and the front one's going to be 12. So I'll see if I can show you them underneath and show you where they are. So that's the one at the front of the engine. It's a 12mm, and this is the one here at the back of the gearbox. So we're going to undo them 2, drain the engine oil out. So I'm going to undo the drive shafts next. A little bit difficult to film this, so I'm going to try and show you these. Just because it's a bit tight to get in, but yeah, so spin round now, and I'm going to undo the drive shaft bolts. So I've applied the handbrake. I'm going to need a 12-sided socket, 13mm, and basically get on here with a strong bar. And slacking these off, work my way around them, undo these on both sides, and then hopefully should be able to pull out that drive shaft with that disconnected. So I'll get these undone, and you can join us back in a second. So as I said, we'd start to disconnect the starter motor. Well, not take the starter motor off, but the cable, and where the cable's bracketed, that'll need to all come off. I've got the battery isolated, so we should be good on that point. So there's no power here. So the first thing, one thing I've already disconnected is the cable here. This is just for an oil temperature sensor for the gearbox. There's another little earth here, which is again on a little slide-on plug. Just take that off, and then I shall undo this. This feels like it needs a 13mm socket. Just put the nut back on for safekeeping. should, it says. Pull through there. And then there's two brackets which are on next to the gear. So we're on the opposite side of the box now. We'll undo the linkages here, and then there's a bracket that holds the linkage on. So we'll undo these two first. So 5mm Allen key and a 10mm socket. Right, so we've now got the clutch disconnected, the gear linkage is now disconnected and off. I think the last couple of things now to undo. We've got these two connections. Get in to see that. Undo these two. So I'll take a 22mm socket. By the way, I already slackened them. And then I think we're not too far away from being able to set this off. So I've now been interrupted. I've got my niece who's decided she wants to help out, so I'll put her to work. You've got to start them young, haven't you? Next thing I want to take off is the aerator head, which is this. So there's a couple of Jubilee clips holding these pipes on, a little vac pipe that will pull off, and there's 3 nuts to undo. That should lift out the top, and then we can take this subframe out once we've undone this top gearbox mount. So I've got the trolley jack underneath to support the weight. I'm going to take that off first, then we'll undo the cap heads, and then hopefully we'll be able to lift all that off. Right, engine mounts out, supported on the jack. I'm going to take this subframe out. I don't think you necessarily have to take it out, but I'd like to take it out while we've got the opportunity, get it cleaned up so it goes back in nice and fresh. So that's what we're going to do next. It looks like cap heads 3 around here, 4 on each corner, 4 up at the back. So we'll get on with that. I think what I'm going to do is just whip this bracket off here. Well, a bit more work than expected, a bit of a wrestle, but it's out. So I'll spin this round, let you have a look at one gearbox out of the car. So it's a bit oily and a bit messy, but we'll get it all cleaned up. I'll get this all repainted, refurbed, so it'll all look brand new when it goes back in. And then here we have now the clutch. Good thing to see on here is that at some point this has been swapped, and it's got the 6-bolt starter ring on it. So the next part of our video will be to get this clutch assembly out, get the flywheel off, etc., and get to that rear main oil seal at the back of there. I'm going to remove the starter ring. I've already loosened 6 bolts on it. Now the earlier ones had 3, and then this was an upgrade that they changed, and they actually did a recall to change from 3 bolts to a 6 bolt. That's the starter ring off. Now there should be 15 A's to undo. Friction plate off, looking a little bit oily and a little bit worse for wear. I'll have a look at them up on the bench. We've finally got to our leaky seal, so that'll be the next thing to change and get all this degreased and cleaned up, so join me in a second for that.